Today on the table, I've got a Huawei Nova 3i, and this one will be getting a new screen. Right now I've had it on the heat pad now for around 5 minutes at 60 degrees Celsius, and now I'm going to use a thin metal pry tool with some dipped in isopropyl alcohol, and I'll be using that to get inside the device itself. As you see, it's cutting through it relatively well. You do have to be cautious near the fingerprint scanner. On the right hand side, currently where I'm cutting or getting in, is where the fingerprint sensor flex connector connects. The bottom half of the phone you don't have to be too concerned about that, but the upper section you do. Even though these are relatively cheap phones, I certainly like the weird reflections / holographic look on the back cover. It currently seems to be the trend in 2019, and it will probably proceed into 2020 as well. And here we go, up and in. As I mentioned earlier, the fingerprint sensor flex is just to the right here, or in the middle, now that I've folded it open. From here, the first point of call will be disconnect the fingerprint sensor flex. Here we go, one Phillips head screw. This whole phone uses the Phillips head screws, so if a single small Phillips head screwdriver, you should be able to take out all the required screws to disassemble and to take it apart. Also, another thing to note is the screws at the top section of the screen, or in the back, aren't magnetic, or seem to be very magnetic resistant, so I found I got to use a pair of tweezers after unscrewing them to actually get them out properly. Whereas the bottom screws at the bottom half of the phone are magnetized, or can be magnetized. Excellent, so there's one back cover disconnected. From here, we're going to proceed to the bottom loudspeaker, remove that, and then proceed from there. Now, I thought I might have been able to cheat and just disconnect the LCD flex connector without removing too much of the shield. But I think in the end it's just going to be simpler just to completely remove that shield. As I said earlier, these screws are fairly resistant to magnetism, so your magnetic screwdriver probably won't help in lifting them out. Now, one thing I do find that's handy with pushing out the screens, relatively large flathead screwdriver, and simply push down. Most of the time that should release the glue and be able to get the screen off with a fair bit more ease. I have found that these Huawei screens come out relatively in one piece, don't usually shatter too much. Now, these ones are LCD displays, which in turn also means they're cheaper to manufacture, and in turn the repair cost, or the actual repair job, should be a cheaper job compared to most other phones. And this one I believe has been a prior repair. Just looking at the tape placement and also the extra tape that's on the actual display itself, on the silver bit that's currently on the ground. Now I'm just going to use a small flathead screwdriver. I'm going to go around the outer perimeters, remove all shards, and hopefully remove any old glue or factory glue that's currently there. So this bit here I've just got in fast forward, mainly because it's not overly that exciting or informative. So I'm just going around the outer perimeter of the frame of the phone and still removing that glue and adhesive, and I'm also removing the double-sided tape strips off the main silver body part of the phone. To finish up with, I did go around with a toothbrush just to clean up any possible shards that may be anywhere else. And now I'm going to use some of my favourite stuff, some B7000 frame adhesive, and just go around the outer perimeter of that, get a nice spread of it. This stuff I find sticks things down extremely well. You use very little of it and it will keep most things stuck permanently. Now just at the top here, I'm just using a small flathead screwdriver to smear it around on some extra plastic to avoid, when I push down the screen, it crushing and going over some sensors or the front selfie cam. So I'm just positioning that prior to putting that screen on. Now another thing it's best to do here that I actually failed to do initially is transfer over the mesh speaker grill from the old screen to the new screen. I did do this in the very end. I left it in the footage, but to save you a little bit of time, you should probably be doing it now. So this clamped down relatively well. The excess adhesive did come out of it, but from here on, I'll be proceeding with reassembling the phone. Virtually the exact same thing that you did just before in reverse. So I'm going to head off from here, but I'm going to let the video play out so you can see the full assembly. Those good old non-magnetic screws. Anyway, I'll catch you later, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.